Good morning, welcome to the Baker Farm. I'm George. Today, I want to show you how we expanded our chicken coop run and why we expanded it. 7 weeks ago, we got some new baby chicks. They were so adorable, so tiny, and they grew so very, very fast. Now, 7 weeks later, it's time to get them out into the chicken coop. The original chicken coop we had was 6 feet by 20 feet, and it just seemed a little too narrow. I was having to trip over the chickens, the 5 we have now, every time I needed to go in, and I knew we needed something bigger. So I went with this. And this is our final version of the chicken coop, at least this time. So today I want to kind of show you some of the things I did differently when I expanded it versus what I did the first time and how I expanded it. So let's go ahead and take a look inside. So one of the big changes was how I mounted these crossbars. Now this is the older side of the chicken coop, and you'll notice I use these braces here to mount each of these 2x4s between the 4x4s. That took a lot of time and a lot of money. These screws probably have about $50 to $100 just in the screws. So over on this side, which is the new part of the coop, what I did was I nailed the 2x4s across the 4x4, and then I added a spacer so that I could have a surface to mount the hardware cloth to. That went so much quicker and was so much more affordable. The next thing I did, you can probably see it up there at the top, I wrapped hardware cloth around the front of the rafters to block the space in between the rafters. Once again, that took a fair amount of hardware cloth and a lot of time. Now, just as secure, but a whole lot quicker and a whole lot less expensive, I did what's called this bird blocking. I cut a piece of 2x4 to fit between each rafter. I angled it or mitered it across the top so it would follow the angle of the boards, and I just screwed it in between each section. Next thing I did is I paid a lot more attention to where it joins the chicken coop, and I actually blocked in here on both sides so that I could securely fasten it to the chicken coop, and it also looks a lot nicer. Once again, I used the white steel roof, galvanized roofing panels, and on this side, unlike on the first version, I attached the rafters to a 2x6, and I used rafter hangers there, and then on the other end, on the outside, I have hurricane ties holding it down to the outside, which makes it secure as we're in a high wind area. Now, this is important and a good tip. As I was building this, I had to leave the existing wall, which runs between these 4x4s, in place. That was to protect my chickens against any predators, anything from the outside, because it took me several weeks to get this done. So if you'll notice, I brought this out a little bit here and I actually attached it to the side of the coop. That way the existing wall could run between. And I did the same thing on the other end. I was able to take the wall down on the corners, take my covers down, mount the wall up. Thank you, Mr. Big. Mount the wall up and then put it back at the end of every day. That made it work really nicely. Now, one other change you might have noticed as you came in is our little section here. This is going to be for our new baby chickens in about a week. This following weekend, I'll be moving them out here as they're really getting too big for their indoor brooder. Now we'll take a quick look inside. And this is because I don't think they're really big enough to mix with our much older birds at this point. So this will get them some time to get familiar with one another and spend some time with one another while being separated a little bit. And then when they get up closer to 10 weeks old, I will put them together so they can spend some time. So they can actually be together and live in the same coop and enjoy all the same things. Now, what I did here is I have chicken wire, and I just stapled it across the top, of course. And I've got an easily to remove 5/4 deck board there and across there. Now, if you haven't seen my earlier videos, a couple of years ago, I am so sorry about Mr. Big being so vocal this morning. A couple years ago, I removed a deck from my house, and I've been trying to reuse as much of the wood as possible from that deck. And a good bit of the construction of the original chicken coop was with wood from that deck. So, and then of course I've got it across the bottom. Now once the babies are old enough, I'll remove that and then reclaim this space for all of the chickens. So we went from basically a 6 by 20 foot run to a 13 by 20 foot run, which gives them about 260 square feet. Now, I've also got a nice door here. This door was also repurposed from that old deck that I had, and it was a covered screened-in porch, and I'll be using that to get in and out of the baby chicks. Now I was careful to add a latch on the inside so that when I am working in here, I can keep it closed and keep the older birds out. Now once they're done, this door will be taken down, and I'll be building myself a little closet here in this entry space, or what I like to call an airlock, so to make it easier to get in and out of the run, because having 13 chickens, it'd be hard to keep them all inside. So that's the inside now. So let's take a look at the outside. Now you notice here, I had the 5/4 deck boards at full width. I cut them down for this side. I thought it looked so much easier, so much better. And also it keeps the leaves from collecting. On this side, on the far side, you can probably see it. I have a lot of leaves collecting there. I'm going to cut those down eventually so we don't have to worry about the leaves rotting. And then across the bottom, I have hardware cloth that comes out about 1 foot to 1.5 feet. And it's buried underneath the dirt there, and it's affixed to what I call a rot board. That is a 2x6 that runs all the way across underneath the whiteboard, so that if it does rot out, it's really easy to replace. Now I am planning to eventually run gutters on both sides, so that we don't get a lot of runoff and it washes all my dirt away around here. Well, that's the chicken coop extension. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped. If you have any questions, please post them below in the comments, and I'd love to hear any stories about any extensions you've had to do lately. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful harvest, and I hope to see you again soon.